Welcome to Intersections, an Avondale Originals podcast. Bringing together the most intriguing people, from entrepreneurs to explorers, we dive in to find their common intersections and provoke elevated conversations. Follow along as we discuss life, business, fast cars, and everything in between. In this episode of Intersections, we join two Dallas-Fort Worth super entrepreneurs, Chad Willis and Nick Boulle. Chad is the current Chief Investment Officer and co-owner of Teamwork Commerce. In addition, Willis serves as CEO and Chairman of iStick Capital Management, an oil and energy company. Nick is an accomplished athlete, entrepreneur, and jeweler who helped his family business, De Boulle, expand into Houston, Texas. Listen in as they discover their intersections at Eagles Canyon Raceway, as one of our guests also happens to be a decorated professional racing driver. We conveniently budgeted enough time for some private track lessons in the second half of the episode, so don't go anywhere. The vehicles featured in this episode are the Porsche 911 Turbo S and the McLaren 720S from Avondale Dealerships. See you on the track.
Wow. Thanks for having me, Nick.
Welcome to Eagles Canyon. First time at the racetrack?
Yes, first time, except for maybe I was a troubled adolescence, maybe some questionable street car racing in Mesquite where I grew up.
This will be a little different. A little different.
How'd you get into sports car racing?
So as a kid, my dad and I always had a real passion for cars, still do. Before work, he would take me for a ride around the block, and I was even at 4 years old, I was learning how to use a 6-speed gearbox with him and how to use a clutch and all that stuff. And then finally, a good family friend took us out to the racetrack to show us his race car. And we were hooked. My dad and I started going to different tracks, and I'd just ride shotgun with him, and I was sitting in the passenger seat learning, but he was actually driving. Long story short, we found out about karting. Go-karting is basically where professional drivers learn their craft. They learn how to pass, they learn how to set up a car, just what a general race weekend looks like, and how intense they can be.
Yeah, and you competed in Le Mans, right?
So in 2016, I got back into it. I was racing at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. We finished second that year, I believe. And then we followed it up the next year after a few more podiums. In 2016, we followed it up with my first win at the Rolex 24 Hours. So we actually became the first. De Boulle is my day job, so I'm there most of the time. But we became the first authorized Rolex dealer to win the 24 Hours of Daytona. So I'm wearing that watch today.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like a great watch from here. What comes to my mind is, when you come back from winning something like that, is how many speeding tickets do you have?
For me, it's kind of the opposite. I think that's what's so great about cars nowadays, whether it's especially like the McLaren 720S sitting over my right shoulder, right? Yeah. They're so usable, you know what I mean? That you can use them to go get a coffee, but then they offer this totally separate world of fun that you can have at a place like Eagles Canyon.
Yeah.
What was the transition like going from technology to oil and gas and then back to technology, basically?
They're very similar. They're both technological driven. I think oil and gas, to get in it's a little easier. It's a lot harder to maintain. But having a niche like retail, where when you have a software solution to retailers that are like constantly demanding more and more improvements, and it's such a global business, it's a lot more rewarding kind of on the upside. But they're both very fun. You're a student always. Mm-hmm. You're always learning almost every week, every day. So that's what's exciting about it for me. I'm a big student.
It's interesting because even in our business, technology has changed so much over the years, and I think it seems to be moving faster.
So fast.
And even like these cars all around us, it's everything. It's just every year it's another step and another step and another step and another step. I remember watching cars growing up, Formula One and in the 90s, and now we look at these cars and the numbers we're talking about, whether it's engine power, 0 to 60, or even the race cars that I've driven around the world. When I pictured sports car racing and what we drive on the streets today, I never would have picture we'd be going this quick as you're about to go around the racetrack. Truly.
Yeah, I'm excited. And what's ironic about you being with watch apparel and jewelry and then sports car racing, in honor of that, I knew that we were going to meet today. So I wore a big Bane Hublot,
nice.
But this is the Ferrari edition. There's only 50 of them, and it was to commemorate about the same time the Boulle family opened up their office in Houston. Ferrari opened up a line with Hublot in Houston, and this is the Lone Star edition.
Oh,
and
nice.
It's made up of Formula One components somehow.
Interesting.
So carbon fiber and some
Yeah.
other stuff. So it's your Rolex is kind of a similar story. I think the Ferrari story that intrigued me to buy this watch at some point.
That's cool. Yeah, no, it's definitely a space where there's a ton of tie-in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You even, I have to say, even at the racetrack, you see oil and gas logos from. I've had several sponsors from the oil and gas world. You know what I mean?
Tons of synergy.
The technical aspects, I think that's one of the things that's intrigued me about joining De Boulle. The watches are doing the same thing. They're taking leaps and bounds and using different materials, and the level of accuracy just gets higher and higher and higher, and it kind of makes you wonder where's going to be the limit for this world. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
It's great that I'm sure you're doing it in your business, but you have to keep pushing.
So you're in the family business. I know that De Boulle's been around. It's got a legacy of its own. And was it always a plan for you to go into the business?
You know, I always had an interest in the business. When I graduated college, I actually started a digital marketing firm, and I ran that. It was a great business. We had a lot of fun. I joke it was almost like a very quick MBA and having your own business, but it gave me a whole new respect for what I was joining.
Yeah.
Which happened when we opened our second store in Houston. I couldn't leave. It's just a very happy business. But what about you?
I was just an employee working for a company called Earthlink back in '99 in the internet days, and kind of had a knack for it, and they promoted me to Silicon Valley, to the business side of the internet. And back then, internet was really expensive and very complicated and very technical. It wasn't like plug and play like it is today. And from there, went into oil and gas to a family friend, and built my first flagship, which was Tex Energy Holdings. Wow. And parlayed that into today what's Teamwork Commerce, which is a retail software. So we're very similar. Yeah. We've got a retail business. We cater to retailers, trying to make their life more efficient. Is
your business today is still the same way? It's very customer experience focused, like Avondale?
Like Avondale, it's the same thing. It's about the customer, and it's changing in technology. We cater to specialty retailers across the globe. We've got offices in 8 different countries, as well as we're localized in 12 countries. That will be more than 20 this year. Nowadays, people want to buy from the phone, buy from a computer. They want everything immediately. They want real-time everything, and you're going to need analytics on the business side of it, order management systems, and instead of just back when your family probably started, just storefront, maybe some ads in the paper.
Yeah.
And the Boulle family, I know you're big into philanthropy. What are some of where does that drive come from, or what are some of the initiatives that you guys are important to you or that have been in the past?
It's probably the same for most, but we like to focus on causes that are close to us, that we have an emotional attachment to. We work closely with Camp Sweeney, which is it's a kids camp where children with type 1 diabetes go and learn how to manage that disease. We've also done a lot with different forms of cancer. My mom's a breast cancer survivor. It's, I think, 15 years or 14 years ago now. Wow. Almost, which is great. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's changed over the years. It used to be just good, big causes and macro, and then it kind of shifted to where I wanted, nonprofits that I really felt like I could help them self-sustain themselves through more mentorship programs. So my first one that I really made a very conscious effort towards that was one called Allie's House. That was teen mothers that usually are from lower demographic social backgrounds, and from there it's kind of parlayed into just various individual causes. But most recently, my software company, Teamwork Commerce, we launched Teamwork Cares. But the idea is that a young owner or an owner that maybe, for example, he owns a barbecue place or owns, some business, whatever it is, we have people from marketing backgrounds and accounting backgrounds and C-level executives that can really, enlighten these people and really maybe change their landscape.
That's really cool.
What would be your go-to car these days? Anything you wanted?
Oh man, that's a really hard question to answer. I've always loved the look of a 911. I've raced the GT3R version of that car, and I think there's just something so usable and iconic about it. It's something you can enjoy every day, but it will also make people's mouth drop open on the racetrack, which I really like. What about you?
Well, I think it's going to be either what Avondale provided, the McLaren, or now the 911 that you just mentioned on my left. So,
well, now that you're about to find out what the 720S can do, maybe that'll sway you.
Yeah, you don't have to threaten me with a good time. It sounds exciting to me.
I like it. Let's see what they can do.
I'm ready. I'm so ready. Let's go.
You should only be a little nervous.
I think I'm going to be more nervous when you drive.
That's about right.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go.
So here you can see we're on pit lane.
Yeah.
There's going to be a white line that you're going to blend over here. It's just nice and smooth. Everybody thinks driving a race car is about moving fast and making quick reactions, but it's really all about being smooth.
So here you would normally go out wide and come in if you're going really high speed, right?
And then you'd let it float out here.
Yep.
And then you'll go tight again to the next curb. There we go. And then it's going to be a right corner here. It's quick, isn't it?
Wow, this is amazing.
So in racing, they call it the racing line. Basically, there's an optimal line to follow around the racetrack, and you brake as late as you can, and then you merge that in smoothly with a smooth turn in, release the brake, roll to the apex, get back on the throttle. And you'll see on the outside of the track here, you see a lot of like skid marks, right?
Yeah.
But it's almost like a different color. And that's because it's dirty out there. It becomes cleaner and cleaner the more people run on the racing line. I like to think of it as a numbers game.
Everything you look at's data, and that's kind of where I know that when you guys would retail, it goes, retailers are looking at data all the time, analyze statistics. And
my business at Boulle, we're looking at how we manage that customer experience, just how Avondale does, you know what I mean? It's about kind of getting the most out of it and making it special.
Yeah.
It is fun though, especially when you, like you said, the 720, it's you don't see something like this too often, and now you're going to take it on the racetrack.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to hold on.
I'm still going to go easy because it's not my car and stuff. But
this thing almost takes off in the back whenever you accelerate.
Isn't that interesting?
You'll feel like,
So you kind of stay tight right on the curb.
Gotcha.
And then you'll fade out.
Yeah, I think that'll help
Keep
you
it in
fade
the
out,
middle, and then nice and tight here. A little different, right?
Yeah, it's a lot different. A lot different.
And then you kind of breathe the throttle, give it a minute, and you got to wait for the front, and then you can accelerate.
I hear myself straining. Feels so uncontrollable.
I have to say though, the car gives a lot of feedback. You can tell this car has a carbon tub.
Yep.
And that's what all the race cars now have. The feedback it gives you through the wheel is different to like what a lot have, so you can lean on how stiff it is. See, it's all about kind of maximizing all the road.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to make sacrifices between each corner to set up for the next one and make it perfect,
Yeah,
we're going to cut, guys. You can exit frame here.
No, I'm not ready.
I heard that.
Thanks, Nick. Man, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, of course, man.
It's a adrenaline rush for me. I don't know about you, but
Anytime being at the racetrack is a good day.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Intersections, an Avondale Originals podcast for elevated conversations. If you'd like to see more from our guests and the cars featured in this episode, check out the video series on Avondale Dealerships' YouTube channel. Questions, comments, or suggestions for future guests? Email us at intersections@avondale.com. Want to check out the cars from this episode and more? Visit Avondale Dealerships at avondale.com to browse our collection of luxury cars. Until the next time.